So from the fast and nimble impala to the slow and stealthy leopard tortoise. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Safari Live. My name is Byron, and with me on camera this afternoon is Kat. And then on the other vehicle, you may have seen Brent already with the pre-show drive, and he is with VM. And then this afternoon, Jamie and Jandre are going to be on Bushwalk. We've got Jerry and Rebecca in final control, and it's great to have all of you with us. We're coming to you live for our Sunset Safari, and we're hoping to find some interesting little creatures, just like this leopard tortoise over here. And what a nice little start. He's trying to hide away from us, but we managed to spot him. Beautiful leopard tortoise. And even though it looks like they do move slowly, they can actually move fairly quickly and move out of the way of danger if they need to. But I think this one is probably just resting in there. Not too sure what the reason would be for that. But don't forget, everybody, we are completely live. So what we are seeing now, you are seeing back home with a few seconds delay. So send us your questions and your comments, either with the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or email us questions@WildEarthTV. We'll gladly answer your questions, and we love hearing from all our viewers. So this afternoon, I am going to be looking for some lions again. We did find them this morning, but I'm going to head in that same area and see if we can't get them a little bit more active. This morning it was fairly cool and rainy, and it's still a cool afternoon. It's about 24 degrees Celsius, or about 76 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's still a lovely cool afternoon, and we have had a rain prediction. Not sure if it's going to, but there are some ominous clouds building off to our right, and I'm sure Kat will be able to show that to you now. Some rather large clouds building, so who knows, we may get a little wet again, but that's part of the safari at times. Look at that beautiful clouds building. And for some of you who may be new viewers, we are situated right up in the northeastern part of South Africa, in an area known as the Greater Kruger National Park, in the Sabi Sands, and we are on Djuma Game Reserve. That's where we operate Safari Live from at the moment. And it's a wonderful, wonderful area, teeming with wildlife, all in their natural habitat, which is really, really interesting and fantastic. And what's so great about this is we take you on a safari, show you around, and try and find animals on a normal safari. So we're going to continue on our search for any wildlife, and while I do that, let's meet up with some of the other guides on safari, and let's go to Jamie on the bushwalk.
And a very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the on-foot portion of the Sunset Safari. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have Jandre on camera with me. And for those of you that perhaps are, before we get into what it was you were looking at, for those of you that are perhaps new to these safaris, never fear, we have a gentleman called Herbert who is a fully qualified trails guide, and he goes ahead of us, helps us with tracks, helps to make sure that we're not going to go walking into anything strange. So we're very, very careful when we are out on foot in the bush, which is an important thing to be, and constantly alert of our surroundings. Now, I wanted to show you something, since it is a big birding day today, and there's all sorts of exciting things planned. I'll just have a look at this incredible bird's nest. This is a bird's nest, or it was one. I think it was abandoned, or it blew out of the marula tree, perhaps, in the storms that we've had. But look at this combination of things. From don't want to break it, but let's just grab this outside stick. From this material here, the old man's beard, that is quite a sticky-ish plant, or can be quite a sticky plant. The little bits of stem, sort of random stem, that the bird has collected, and most importantly, this stuff all around here that the bird has flown back painstakingly time after time after time after time to wrap together its whole nest in lichen. Lichen, of course, being a mixture, grows off trees mainly and on rocks, and playing a vital role in our ecosystem, one of the oldest substances made up of bacteria and fungus working together in an perfect example of mutualism. Now, I've been trying desperately to work out what bird this is. Here's a feather. Can you see it there, Jean-Andre?
Yeah, try hold it still.
Try hold it still. Well, if I stop poking it, it would help, wouldn't it? There's a feather. Got it. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a feather there, and despite its messy look, it's actually quite a solid structure. So as soon as I picked it up off the ground, Herbert found it for us, and it's connected in the most amazing way. Birds are the most incredible architects, and that's one of the things that we're going to be focusing on our bushwalk over the next few hours, will be to try and find you examples of the amazing way in which the birds that we see, because unfortunately we can't actually add to we can, but it's difficult for us to add to the total on bushwalk. It's just that little bit more tricky when Jean-Andre is trying to hold the camera and we're trying to look at birds far away. So we'll be adding a little bit of extra tidbits about the facts about the different birds. And here Jean-Andre has done an amazing thing, and that he's actually found the tree, most likely, that this bird collected the lichen from. So it's come through from the spike thorn, and you can see the lichen all along this branch here, or along the stem here. And what's very apparent, to me at least, is that this lichen growing here at one point probably looked a lot like this. Or perhaps even an even better example, if I can show you a little bit further along the branches, it looked a lot like that. Before this bird, whatever it may be, came along and peeled away, with its beak, peeled away sheets of this lichen. And I'm not nearly as good as it as a bird. This lichen's pretty solid. And then, spike thorn. That's why it's called a spike. That's why it's called a spike thorn. I just hit Chandra in the head. That's why it's called a spike thorn. All intricately laid. There we go. I've added to the bird's nest. Beautifully. That was my piece. I know. Very artistic. And beautifully shaped. I think it must have blown out of the tree. It would have been beautifully cup-shaped to hold the bird in it. I've been trying to rack my brains to figure out what bird it is that has used this nest. And I'm tossing up with flycatchers. I think it might have been a flycatcher. There is a memory stirring somewhere about which bird it is that uses lichen. So I'm going to try and think very, very hard about which bird uses lichen in its nest, because that's often quite distinctive in terms of the different nests. But while I do that, let's go over to Brent, who has got something that definitely didn't use this as a nest.
Well, landing gear deployed, flaps out, coming down hot. Boom. Perfect landing from a white-backed vulture. And look what's happened. There's a hippo carcass. Now, Vim and I were here twice on the sunrise safari, so that hippo has died sometime during the day. The green grass not coming soon enough, the drought grabbing another victim. And no big predators here just yet to open it up, just the white-backed vultures. Welcome to the Sunset Safari. My name is Brent Smith. I have Vim on camera, and today is Big Birding Day! And of course, that is number 37 for the Rusty list today. We're trying to get to over 50 species in 2 drives, and we've got our list going. And the white-backed vulture, tick, number 37. Remember, this is 100% live, and we are watching this unfold at this very second. And if you want to send us any questions, please do. Questions at WildEarthTV or hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Can we add number 38, Vim? Is there a little hooded vulture hiding amongst the white-backs? Oh, wait, stop. What was that there? No, it was just 2 vultures together. It had a funny shaped head. No, it looks like only white-backed vultures so far. Now, definitely going to probably swing past here after dark. Maybe the hyenas will make an appearance. Maybe this is what the hyena was whooping at on the sunrise safari. There's a bird. It's a hardy-dar ibis. That's already on our list from this morning. Okay, we're going to keep moving. I was hoping to find a fish eagle, but just as happy to find the vultures. I'm heading to one of my birding hotspots. Hopefully we're going to have some luck while we do that. Byron has got a goose.
We do indeed have a goose. We've got a pair of geese, in fact, Egyptian geese. And there's the other one over there. So that's wonderful. Another bird to add to our list, I think. We're having our birding big day, so we're trying very, very hard to get our numbers up this afternoon from this morning. Might have a bit more luck, who knows. See what else we can find. So it's always nice to see these Egyptian geese, often around little water holes and pans, and there's a bit of a small mud wallow just in front of us, and I think that's why these Egyptian goose are in this area. Let's see, there was a grey hornbill which flew off. I'm just trying to see if we can't find it again. I don't think we had a grey hornbill this morning. I think we had yellow-billed and perhaps red-billed, I'm not sure. Let's have a look. It was around here somewhere, but I think it may have disappeared already. Would be wonderful to find an owl or two. That would be interesting. And usually you need them to call, and that will help you find them. These drainage lines, these areas, these thicker areas are fantastic to look for certain bird species. Sitting up in the big trees, a lot of jackleberry trees, leadwood trees around us. Just to show you, that's a beautiful jackleberry off to my left. Hang on, let me just get a nice spot for you. There it is. It's a lovely jackleberry. And then we also have, what was that? A little bird that flew in here. And then off to my right is a beautiful big, sorry, the roof's in the way. We got our roof on because we worried about the rain this afternoon. But just off to my right is a big leadwood. You might be able to see it through there. That rather large tree just over there. A beautiful big leadwood tree. And you get a lot of birds sitting up in these trees. We're going to have to work on our angles a bit with the roof, so if we do have birds sitting high up in the trees, we'll definitely have to park very, very carefully. Alright, well, speaking about birds, Brent has another one that he'd like to show you.
Well, he's just moved behind the bush. We came to this area to look for the specific species on the sunrise safari. One of our seldom seen Franklin species. There we go, the Swanson's spurfowl. Now, isn't that cool? We don't see them too often, and this is one of the only areas that we do see them in. Now, the difference between a spurfowl and a Franklin, this is actually a female Swanson spurfowl. If we look at its feet, it doesn't have a really prominent sharp spur that they use for fighting. It does have a spur, you can see it there, but it's not nearly as big as it would be in a male. Now, very impressive spurs, and the difference between a Franklin and a spurfowl is that they have bare faces. So you can see the red skin on its face, and that is the difference between a Franklin and a spurfowl. Now, we're still missing a few of the Franklin spurfowl family. We're missing the Natal and the Koki and the Shelleys. But hopefully we'll have some luck. But there we go. That's number 38 there. And we're definitely going to come back to this area again after dark. Not so much for the birds, but might be some hyenas on that dead hippo. You never know. Okay, now this is the fun thing about birding. We got to keep our eyes peeled constantly. We got 36 species on the sunrise safari, which was 2 off the previous record, and we managed to do that with a roof, so we were quite impressed with ourselves. Well, let's just get for the rusty list quickly, Vim. I'm sure we'll spot a red-billed buffalo weaver in that big nest there. Can we see one? I can hear one. Let's try the next nests off to the left. There we go. Not a buffalo weaver in sight. Just an Egyptian. No, there's one. There's above the Egyptian goose. Red-billed buffalo weaver. That goes on to the rusty list. Okay, let's keep moving. Well, hello, Bill. Bill is wondering, what is the difference between a vulture and a buzzard, and where does the Californian condor fit in? Well, Bill, a condor is actually part of the vulture family. A buzzard is a raptor, so it's much more closely related to eagles. And although they will feed off carrion, they do quite a lot of their own hunting, whereas most vulture species, not all, rely almost solely on scavenging. Okay, now eyes up, binoculars at the ready, bird list close by, big book of birds just in case. We're all ready for the sunset big birding day. And so we're on, what now, 38, 39. I think we'll make it to 50. Almost tempted to push ourselves and say we should try and get to 60 rather. Now, birding in the morning is always a little bit easier, especially on a morning like we had this morning with that wonderful birding weather. Okay, now we're going to keep on checking, and we're also doing a bird list combining all the feeds, but I want to keep our list going as well. It seems like Jamie has found something flying that's not feathered.
I found something that was flying at some point, and is connected in a way to a story of a bird, but we'll get into that in a moment. For now, let's discuss what an amazing find this was on Hervey's behalf. It's an absolutely incredible thing to see. This is the first time I've ever seen it, and what you're looking at in there is most likely the eggs of something known as a stingless bee or a mapani bee. I'm pretty certain that those are the eggs, but something tragic has befallen this particular hive. And just have a look at the destruction that is left behind here. And all that's left is the ants moving about and finishing off a job that was probably carried out by an animal known as a honey badger. The honey of the stingless bees, or the mapani bees, is rumored to be some of the best honey in the world. Or at least it's said to be some of the best by South Africans. We're very good at naming ourselves the best in the world, but we are. Exactly. I agree, Jean-Andre. We are, and therefore it's a title that we've earned. Now this has been pushed over by, it could have fallen over, it's a dead tree that could even have fallen over, but the bees have been living in here, and we've seen the way, for those of you that have been watching this show regularly, you've seen those little entrance tunnels that the bees have constructed inside the giraffe, and this is what it would look like inside the giraffe. Well, obviously most of it's gone now, but this is to give you an idea of what it would look like inside that giraffe skull. And here you can have a look at the remainders of, I don't think this is the honey. I think this might have been the remainders of their hive. It's quite a waxy substance. It's not liquid in the same way that we think of honey. It could be sort of one of their ways of storing honey. But a honey badger has come through here, very powdery. Just want to try a little bit. You shouldn't really, it does look like pollen. You shouldn't really, just so you know, you shouldn't really go putting things into your mouth if you don't know exactly what they are or where they come from. But I'm relatively confident with this, and I've only put a tiny little bit on the tip of my tongue. And also, Herbie's been eating it since we first found this, and he's absolutely fine. So unless he falls over in the next 5 minutes, I think I'm going to be okay. Really, really interesting. It does look like pollen, doesn't it? It looks like pollen's been gathered. Maybe they've gathered the pollen and then dump it, and then go about obviously synthesizing their honey. But an absolutely fascinating sighting, and the reason I'm connecting it to birds is because, of course, the incredible sightings that we've had over the last, I would say, the last 2 or so days, no, not so days, sorry, 2 or so weeks, where a honey guide, which is a type of bird, has consistently led the walking group, in one case it was Steph, in one case it was Byron, back to the exact same honey hive. Honey hive? Beehive. Honey hive. The exact same beehive each and every time. And honey guides is a type of little bird that is known to do that. It's got a wonderful call. It goes, and it calls not just human beings but animals as well. And what will happen is it will go and call at a honey badger, and somehow instinctively these animals have developed a mutualism that the honey badger knows to follow this honey guide to wherever it's located, the beehive, and then go and break it open. And something like a honey badger with its powerful jaws would have been this wood, rotten wood. Ooh, see, even I can do it with my powerful fingers. Would have been more than a match for something like a honey badger. They'd bite and claw their way into something like this. And that's all that's left of the poor Mpani bees' hard work. They've abandoned it all. The ants are collecting what's left. These are the eggs, by the way. I think these are eggs. I'm relatively certain these are eggs. They can't really be anything else unless Mpani bees have a very unique way of storing their honey. So a shame. The poor Mpani bee's beehive has been completely dismantled, and who knows, on the subject of birds, whether or not it was in fact the fault of a honey guide. Of course, one thing we've learned over the last 2 weeks is if you do leave if a honey guide does lead you to a bird hide, there we go. If it does lead you to a bird hide, you've got to leave some of it for it. Lead you to a beehive. Goodness, why is that so? Lead you to a beehive, lead you to a beehive, lead you to a beehive. Yes. And of course, the honey guide is one of the few creatures out here that is, in fact, I think it might be the only creature out here that can actually digest and break down wax. So that makes sense. Perfect example of mutualism in the bush, and a wonderful little bird. You don't have to just take my word for it. Byron was one of the people that was led to the beehive. Let's go and see if he can fill you in on a bit more of that tale.
And that's right, Jamie. We did get to follow the
Oopsie, well, it seems as though Byron has lost signal, but that's okay. We're always prepared for any eventuality in the bush, especially with a 4-second delay on the bushwalk. You never know what we might be doing. We might be tap dancing down the road. Unlikely, though. No, it's relatively unlikely, but while I'm tap dancing, I'm looking at a massive spider web hole, also known as a hole where a spider lives, and it's a really fascinating spider, and this is a massive one. It is known as a baboon spider, and it is the South African equivalent of a tarantula, and it also happens to be my favorite spider. There's a couple of different species. The most common one is the horned where's that thing gone? Oh, I found it. The horned baboon spider. And you can, if you sit with a long and thin blade of grass and plenty of patience, you can actually pluck out. Come back. Come back, explosion of insects. Come back. What did Brent call it this morning? An emergence. Come back, emergence. There we go. I'm trying to find the grasshopper. I'll explain a bit more about the termite. The termite mound in a moment. Oh, there we go. Slightly better visibility. I'm looking at a grasshopper. We were talking, Brent, this morning, we were joking around because he described the after effect of the rains as sort of the emergence of the insects. And I think he used the word emergence several times, as a result causing a little bit of confusion as to exactly what an emergence was. Now, this is an emergence. Things like grasshoppers. It just means all of the insects emerging after the rain. And the reason I'm pointing it out to you now is, first of all, because if I take my eye off it for 1 second, it's going to disappear and I'm going to lose it. You little one. There you go. Well done, Chandra. Because it is so perfectly camouflaged, not on a green leaf, obviously, but when it's on the soil, it's almost impossible to see. And it knows it. and goes completely still. Unfortunately for this grasshopper, birds have the best eyesight of probably any animal out here. They see in incredible detail. Their focus is precision personified. That's why they're always doing their little head bob thing to the side, because they've sort of had to biologically evolve different ways of approaching things. So they've got blind spots, but they do have the most incredible depth perception. They've got a blind spot straight in front of them, unlike us, because of course we are predators, we're forward-facing vision, but they are able, by turning their head, they're able to compensate for that and catch things, spot things and catch things like a fast-moving grasshopper. Sorry, I started talking about the baboon spider and then I completely went on a tangent because I was trying to catch the grasshopper for you. I'm not going to pull her out of her hole now, and it is a she. Only the females live in these holes. The males will run around free roaming. They'll go and they'll find a nice nook or cranny to go and hide for when it gets dark. Look here, the Mapani bees. I know, Jandre, I don't know how we're going to get them on camera either. Oh, I'm sorry, little guys. They're all gathering around me. Mapani bees are one of the most annoying, in a way, creatures of the bush. But they're not really. You got him on my leg. Oh, that was stupid, Jamie. That was really dumb. Hold on. There we go. There's one, another two on my... Oh, they don't like movement. I'll just sit still for a second. There's one. There's another. Can you sort of see them fluttering around? You can sort of see them. Okay. Just so people realize I'm not completely loopy. Now these Mapani bees would be gathering around if it were a really hot day and if I were sweating a lot, which obviously I'm not doing on a cold and cloudy day, but if I were, they'd be gathering around us, sitting on our skin, trying to get into our eyes, just to collect as much moisture as possible. Although on a day like today, now that it's rained, they don't have to bother too much with us. I'm jumping all over the place, I'm sorry. I just happened to notice them fluttering around and they drew my attention. Right, we're going to move on and search for more things, bird and all kinds of things. And while we do that, let's go across to Brent, who I'm sure is having an amazing time.
Oh, we've just spotted some more birds in a tree. Now, it looks like there's two species, which could be very, very interesting for us. So, two species we haven't got yet on our list today. We've got, there we go, on the top is a basilier, and below is a tawny. Now, when you see these two birds together, it's always worth investigating. So, why I say that is, well, firstly, the basilier and tawny eagle are generally the first two to spot a kill, and particularly something like a leopard or wild dog kill that's quite small, that the other birds might miss. But I'm going to go have a look there, but before we do that, I've heard another bird for our list. Well, I'm just trying to find a basilier on my... Oh, there we go, snake eagles. Oh, there we go, basilier, tick. And there's a very distinct coming. Now we are going to go check underneath that tree or in that area. I think there's they could actually be eating impala after birth. Let's just go have a quick look there. I think that's what they're doing. They will actually follow the impala herds around at the moment and feast upon the afterbirth that the mothers leave behind. Now there's also a black-bellied bustard somewhere around here. We can hear him calling, giving that distinct champagne pop. I thought I saw an impala through there. Now, of course, this could also be a leopard kill. Or a wild dog kill. Let's just have a look. Where are my binoculars? We're trying to look on the ground below where those two birds are. I thought I saw something there. Let's have a closer inspection. I'm not sure. I thought it might be an impala lying down, but it could obviously be a kill. If it is a kill, I don't want to walk in there and scare it off in case it's just happened. we haven't seen any leopard tracks, but we did hear alarm calls earlier in the day. I saw what looked to be an impala on the ground through the bush there. Well, as I said, it could be them following birthing mothers. It could also be a carcass. So I saw it from there, and I looked through. There's a rattling testicular alarm calling. Now to have both those birds, do you see a, what? Oh, well done, Vim. I thought Vim had spotted a dead impala, but he spotted a Coqui Franklin. Another one for our list. I'm so searching for a dead animal. I saw it lying down on the, it looked like a carcass on the ground here. Maybe it wasn't dead. Maybe it's got up and run off. Interesting. But when you see those two species in a tree together, it is always really important to double check. But okay, I've still got a feeling that there's something happening here. It might be afterbirth. There's a big termite mound here. Oh, look at that. That's what it is. There's a Steenbok dying, and I knew I saw something lying on the ground. That Steenbok looks very ill. It's got an infestation of flies. So I swear, look at that. That Steenbok doesn't look well. Shame. So it could be that tawny eagle and the battalier were waiting for it to get a bit weaker. You can see it looks very skinny, very sick. Those flies are incredible. Now they would have sprung out after. I mean, they're on her eyeball. You see those flat ears? And as we know, normally a Steenbok would be up and gone by now, especially since we're off-road. And so what I saw wasn't a dead animal, it was a sick animal. Now, as I said, I thought it could be a leopard kill, but hopefully for the Steenbok, the leopard does find it. Shame, poor little one. Okay. Well, let's move on. Let's try keep with our big birding. Now, isn't that fascinating? Those two species in combination. It's almost always, like 95% of the time, something to come check on. And in this case, as I said, I thought I saw a carcass. Shame. Yeah, she's not even standing. Not standing at all. I can see the wounds around her eyes from those flies. Shame. It's very, very sad. But this is nature. The Steenbok will provide dinner for someone else. Okay, well, we're going to move away from this sickly Steenbok and go to a much healthier and happier Nkuhuma Pride.
And look at this, everyone. We managed to find the lions again. They moved off a little bit from where they were this morning. Not too far though, but luckily we did manage to spot them through the thicket. And they're all still together, which is great. And again, a big pile of lions. And there's a big male. One of the Birmingham males that's joined the pride. And have a look, there's actually one of the cubs moving on the termite mound, and then it's just going to lie down. It's wonderful. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see 4 cubs at the moment, but I can't see to the other side of the termite line. There's definitely a lioness or 2 on the other side, and I can only see 3 lionesses at the moment. They just seem to be hiding from us a little bit. We haven't really been able to count all of them this morning too. It was very difficult to see all of them. There's a few yawns coming from that lioness. She may get up and decide to either just change positions and move around. There we go. There we go. Stretch. Now she may just change her position, lie down somewhere else, or decide to move around. There we go. Just changing her position, that's all. Oh, a little sneeze from that cub. At least they're a bit more active than they were this morning. There's a bit of movement. This morning they were completely flat and not interested in moving at all, I think because of the rain. But the nice thing, and they're in this little open section, the nice thing is it's a bit cooler today, so that's why they've decided to lie out in the open. Usually, and we know in the past, the lions, if it's hot, they prefer the shade. They stay in the shade, and it's not always easy to see them. It was a little tricky getting in here with the roof, but we managed. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Rob from Liverpool, we've discussed how these lions have, well, especially the little cubs, have been suffering from the white muscle disease, and you wanted to know if them eating that hippo that Brent found, if that would help them and be beneficial for them. Yes, most definitely. Change of diet a little bit, not just buffalo, and there's probably a lot more fat on that hippo. And again, our theory, and it sounds about right, and Jamie's theory rather, was that with them eating fat, they would be able to absorb the nutrients and proteins that they need a lot better. So they do need fat in their diet, and I do think that eating other wildlife, something like a hippo that has got a large fat deposit in it, fat deposits should be beneficial for these lions. Oh, look at that, the female just grooming and cleaning the little cub. And in the past, a few viewers have asked me, do ticks sit on lions? And they do indeed, and one of the ways they get rid of them is by grooming and cleaning one another, just like this lioness is cleaning the cub. And look at that cub, it is loving it. Oh, it's really, really, really fantastic. Alright, we're going to sit with the lions for a while, but Brent has got another bird he'd like to show you for Bird Day.
I told you I heard him calling before we... Wait for it. It's so incredible. It's a male black-bellied bustard calling, trying to attract a female. Now you can see he's calling from a nice prominent perch. So very visible up there. Black-bellied bustard. They are very cool birds. Come on, you're not going to call again for us? Now, this is an area we didn't get to on the sunrise safari. So we're up in the terminalia and... Oh, here we go. Blip. We're up in the terminalia and Combretum woodland, and there's a whole host of bird species we didn't see this morning that we're looking through here. And one of the interesting things about a black-bellied bustard is one of its ways of avoiding predators is to literally flatten itself to the ground, completely flat, lies down like this. And it's also capable of incredible speeds for a bird of its size. It can fly up to 65 kilometers an hour. Now, one of the other birds that I've seen a few times here that we've been looking for and going very slowly is the amethyst starling, plum-coloured starling, or violet-backed starling. All those names have been used over the last 10 years, and I've seen them in this area quite a few times. So far, no luck, but we will keep checking. And also another good spot for Shelley's Franklin, Natal Franklin, 2 Franklin species we're missing. I think Shelley's is going to be the real challenge out of the Franklin species today. They're much more shy and retiring, similar in habits to the Koki Franklin, which we got lucky enough to see when we were following up on whatever the Battalier and Tawny Eagle were looking at, which was that little Steenbok. So what we're going to do, we've got a plan. We're planning for birds. So we're going to keep through here. We're about to come out into Impala Plains. I'm hoping for some lapwings. We haven't seen any lapwings yet on the short grasses there. And then we're going to go back through a crest through mature marula woodland and interspersed with combretum and bush willow. And what we're looking for in that area is the African cuckoo. Now, the African cuckoos and quite a few of the other cuckoo species are great caterpillar eaters, as well as the orioles. And the caterpillars are en masse on the big marulas at the moment, so it's a good place to try find all those species. Now, we're going to keep up. Oh, what was that? No, we're going to keep up. Oh, VM's got something. Oh, well spotted, VM. Now, you got to look carefully at these guys. Now, what we want to do is, there we go, look at his gape. Now, when I refer to the gape, it's the mouth. And it is another tawny eagle, so we have got him. But now, the reason I can tell you it's a tawny, not a steppe eagle, even though all those eagles look very similar. Let me just get a picture of them for you. Is when I refer to the gape, the tawny eagle's gape extends to the middle of the eye, which that one looks like it does. But when we look at a steppe eagle, for example, its gape extends beyond the eye. So there's a steppe eagle, also slightly darker normally. Actually, a photograph I think might show this better. Oh, there we go. So there we go, you can see how it goes all the way to the back of the eye, the gape of the mouth, whereas the tawny ends halfway. So that is indeed a tawny eagle. And so we have got him already, but still nice to teach you a little bit about how to identify the different birds. I'm really hoping that probably the most special bird that I've seen this wet season so far, for me, which is not something you see too often, was the pale morph booted eagle. And who knows, maybe Big Birding Day they're going to make an appearance. But while we continue on our endeavors, Jamie has not got a bird, but she's got something that used to belong to a bird.
We are all hoping for a booted eagle, but for now we have found something, or the remains of something, probably one of the most common birds that we see, but that's not to say that it's not one of the most beautiful. Now, this is not the best light, as I'm sure Jean-Andre will tell you in no uncertain terms. This is not the best light for this particular feather to display it in all of its glory. It's also slightly bedraggled, but it does tell a rather unfortunate tale for the bird that was once the wearer of this magnificent plumage. The lilac-breasted roller feather, of course. We'll all remember the saga of James and the lilac-breasted roller feather. He put out a totally erroneous story that I had somehow stolen his lilac-breasted roller feather. I had not. Andre, shut up. I had not stolen his feather. Nikki Austin might have, but it was her hat that I was wearing, and it was her hat that had the feather in it. Now, the reason I wanted to show you this particular site, let me try and, it's not as easy to get off the termite mound, is if you have a look around here, it actually tells a sort of a tale of destruction here. There's feathers all over the place, all the way around between the marula seeds, and all the way around the base of this marula tree. And we'll go and we'll have a look around them. We'll just show you. There's some here. And this is probably where the poor hapless lilac-breasted roller met its end. Now, I would love to collect these feathers for James, perhaps, but unfortunately, they haven't really. The reason, by the way, that James was so intent on getting these feathers was he had a deal with somebody that was going to provide him with a delicious type of coffee, if I remember correctly. Some of the sort of the more unique, one of the more unique coffees. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the coffees that had been passed through a civet at some point. So that was the deal. He wanted lilac-breasted roller feathers so that he could get the coffee, and he was willing to go to almost any means. Not any means. I don't think he would have gone quite to any bad degree, but he was willing to try all sorts of things to obtain these lilac-breasted roller feathers. Now, Herbie's just been telling me of a marriage ritual. Now, the lilac-breasted roller is the unofficial, what's the word? Official, what do you call it, the thing? National. Thank you. The unofficial national bird of Botswana. Thanks, Chandra. Struggling there. The unofficial national bird of Botswana. The actual official bird is the western cattle egret, but unfortunately they seem to disagree, which I can understand. I mean, the lilac-breasted roller is pretty cool as a bird, but Herbie was just telling me about a marriage ritual where the feathers are woven together, which is a bit tricky with feathers. I mean, they're not exactly rope material, are they? And the fingers of a couple-to-be are tied together for a week. So they have to be tied together for a week by the lilac-breasted roller feathers, and if it breaks, then there's a good chance that their relationship is not going to work. So they have to survive tied together for an entire week, which sounds like an absolute nightmare to me. But I suppose it makes sense, and to show that they can, in fact, there's a nice light blue color, they can, in fact, live together and survive together. As to what that couple does when nobody's watching, in terms of just taking it off and discarding it without anybody knowing, if they come to that agreement, well, I suppose nobody would ever know. But it would be cheating, that was what it would be, but I wouldn't blame them if they did. They sort of said, listen, I won't tell you if you won't, just take it off, and you do your thing and I'll do my thing for a few hours of the day. But it isn't interesting, and you probably have to make sure you get somebody who's really, really good at knots to tie you together. Otherwise, you would hate, it would be terrible if your marriage were to fail on the basis of one broken lilac-breasted roller feather. I don't know what got this lilac-breasted roller. They've been rained upon, so it's not recent. It could well have been living in a hollow area on this marula tree, and perhaps a gymnogene, a harrier hawk, a bird of prey, snake. We just don't know. Probably not a snake, actually. Maybe a predator. I know that Brent is very keen on seeing what birds he can find on Impala Plains, and apparently he's got there.
Well, there's the rear end of a Senegal lapwing, one of the birds we specifically came out to these short grass plains to find. Now, they're incredible. They fly at night, and wherever there's a new flush of green grass, they'll land. So they actually search. Oh, them flying across us. Our bow going. Was he going to land? There's a couple of them. Another one we didn't get this morning. Oh, well done. Here we go. The green wood hoopoe. That's another one of our more common ones with their scimitar-shaped bill that they managed to put into crevices to try and pry out any little bugs and whatnot. Oh, there we go. Oh, that was not one we were expecting to get flying across the open area. We were expecting to get that once we got into the tree line. And let's just go with who's. Just to make sure we don't forget. Green wood hoopoe. Tick. Oh, I think we're getting quite close to that 50, that magical 50. So I said we might have to push it to 60. Now, as we move out of the open area here and into the more mature woodland up ahead, and so we're hoping to find orioles, cuckoos, white-crowned helmet shrikes, and all sorts of other things. So we're trying to make sure we cover all the different sort of birding areas on Djuma today. And we spent a lot of time around the Mwati River this morning, which was very productive, and it probably will get productive again a little later in the drive. And so now we're working the crests. You don't find as many bird parties on the crests, but when you do find a party, it's generally got at least 5 or 6 species in it. And the birding weather has continued, so this is great birding weather. Whoa, I had a mind warp, and mind warp's wondering about the Nat.Geo species. What time do they come out? Around dusk normally. And do we ever see other species apart from the fiery necked? We do. The only two other species that we've recorded live have been the square-tailed Nat.Geo and the freckled Nat.Geo. Now, the square-tailed Nat.Geo we used to call generator birds. We grew up in the bush, and a lot of places didn't have electricity, so we used to run a generator for certain hours of the day, and the square-tailed Nat.Geo goes like a generator changing pitch. And then the other Nat.Geo that we've seen is the freckled, and it sounds like a small irritating lapdog. Bow wow, bow wow, bow wow. And those are the three main Nat.Geo species we get here. Of course, we do get European seasonally, but they're silent in Africa, and there's a really rare chance that pennant-winged Nat.Geo might come as far down, but I've never seen them in the Sabi Sands. I have seen them further north in Kruger though. No, that is a lion log. And of course, when you're moving carefully like this through the bush, there's always a chance we might encounter a leopard, elephants, buffalo, all the other fantastic creatures. But at the moment, it's only the birds up here on the crest near the Balanites tree. And it looks like this particular crest, as I said, sometimes there can be big gaps between the bird parties in the mature woodland. So we're going to speed up a little bit because I'm not hearing any signs of bird parties around us. But we are coming up towards the big Balanites tree, another little open area there. Who knows what might be in store for us as we get there. Okay, you got him there in the center of this sort of, oh, he's come out a bit. I think, where's he now? Has he moved? And he's still there. I think right at the back. Let's just try a bit further forward maybe. It looks like a little Petronia. Got him through the gap there, Vim. Quite high. Oh, did he fly? Oh, there he goes. Darn it. Is he going to land? Is he going to land? Yes, he is. Don't fly. Don't. Oh, you cheeky little monkey. There we go. I think we got him in the gap there. It's going to be quite a... Is he still there? He's still there. Oh, it isn't what I thought it was. Aha, but it is another species for us. It is a member of the Flycatcher family. Now, the Flycatchers can be quite difficult. We're just going to have a look. There we go. And we have seen this one on the live drives before. It is the... Now, we were looking for an eye stripe. It doesn't have an eye stripe, so it is a spotted flycatcher. And there's another migrant who's arrived quite recently. Very streaky head is one of the signatures on there. And there we go. And he's a voracious insectivore. There we go, a little spotted flycatcher. Now that was one I wasn't expecting to get, and that's the wonderful thing about birding. You literally do not know what is around the next corner, like everything on a live African safari. Now, I'm focusing on the birds today, but if you have any questions about them, feel free. Questions at WildEarthTV via email, or you can pop us a question through Twitter by using the hashtag Safari Live. Okay, before we disappear, on top of that dead tree there's two birds. I just want to see if we can get an ID on them. There we go. Oh, there we go. Ah, a grey-headed sparrow is the one on the left. No, sorry, go back there. I was lying. It's a female redback shrike. You nearly caught me. Tisk tisk. And the one on the right is a yellow-throated Petronia. Now, our race of yellow-throated sparrows or Petronias are the only race that does not have a yellow throat. Can you believe it? And I'll show you quickly. So there we go. We've got a female redback shrike and a yellow-throated petronia. So that is why it became named the yellow-throated petronia. And the race, that is the race Flavigula. We don't get those here. We get that one here. So there we go. You see the non-yellow-throated sparrow. But anyway, or petronia. Okay, well that's a lovely tune, other birds for this. But let's go see how the big cats are doing with Byron.
So we're still sitting with the Pride, everyone. They haven't really moved. They've readjusted a little bit. And one or two of the cubs have tried to suckle and then moved off again. And just changed their positions and laid down. Copy that, Steve? Oh, look at that. Wonderful. That female playing with that little cub. It's wonderful to see how playful they can be with one another. Occasionally, even when they get a bit older, you see lionesses every now and then walking around, and when they are walking and I think we might get lucky this afternoon. I think with it being cooler, they may get up and move around a lot sooner rather than later, I'm hoping. But when they do walk around at times, you even see these lionesses being very playful and chasing and jumping with basically on one another. It's wonderful to see the interaction. I've seen lions go and climb trees just to get a bit of a vantage point to maybe look around and as I said, jump and chase one another. So they can be very playful. Look at that. That is very, very cute. That is so wonderful. I hope all of you back home are enjoying this as much as I am. Paws in the air. And there's a nice yawn from that female. Avukile, good afternoon to you. You're a new viewer. Wonderful to have you with us on Safari Live. You wanted to know how big this pride is. Avukile, at the moment, this pride consists of 5 females and 6 cubs. So it's a really nice sized pride. And hopefully these cubs are successful. And I'm hoping that the rest of these 6 cubs survive to adulthood. There were originally 8. Unfortunately, 2 of them have died. But that is survival of the fittest at times, and it is nature's way, which is not always easy to see, but it is a way of keeping a natural balance with these predators. And then Avukile, that male that you can see just off to the left, that male is part of a coalition of males, and there are 4 of them. They form part of the coalition called the Birmingham males, and those males patrol a huge territory within this area, and they don't belong to a specific pride. They'll move around between different prides. And this male is one of the fathers of those cubs. And I say one of because what happens is the females often mate with the males, all the males from a coalition, just to ensure the safety of the cubs when they are born. And these brothers, these males stay together and they'll patrol the territory and keep out any threats, any other lions that might potentially try and take over their territory. And occasionally the males meet up with the pride, spend a day or 2 with them, and then move on again and cover their territory, mark their territory, make sure other lions don't come in. And the males may also meet up with one another. Occasionally you see 2, 3, or even 4 of them together. Oh, look at that lovely yawn. Now all this yawning and scratching and stretching is a good sign. If we're lucky, we might get some movement from these lions. Oh, having a good scratch. Oh. Or they just change position and lie down again. Right, we're going to sit with these lions for a while, and while we sit here, Jamie's stretching her legs on the bushwalk.
I've found one of my favorite things to witness ever. We actually followed a dung beetle here to this exact spot, and you are witness to the equivalent of dung beetle wars. They are fighting with each other. Oh, did he just give up? Is that the victor? I think we might have the victor. There were 3 of them fighting over, actually it now looks like there were 4 of them, fighting over access to this dung beetle ball that he might well be the guy that bothered to roll it. He took the time to gather up the dung wherever he found it. It must have been some kind of antelope dung, because I can't, maybe something small, but something very fresh. And he's managed to gather up his dung, and he's busy forming it into a ball. But, there was another one that nearly came in for a landing. In fact, it might still. It's circling the area. They're incredible. Their ability to find fresh dung is truly phenomenal. But what you just saw was a fight because dung beetles are industrious little creatures, but not always. Sometimes they are not really above actually fighting off. So let's say one male dung beetle went to all of the fuss of rolling a dung ball. They are not above attempting to steal it from him, which is why he has to use that powerful... this one's coming back in. There's one coming back. It's coming back. Oh, we might see it again. Bzzz, sound of them in flight. Oh, he is. He's challenging once again. Get off my property. Go away. And the intruder retreats with dignity not intact. He has just had a fight over a ball of dung and lost. A day in the life of a male dung beetle. Now, if you are just joining us and perhaps are wondering what these dung beetles are doing, they are rolling a food ball or potentially an egg ball. It's such a pity it's under this tree, because poor Jandre has to keep ducking to avoid getting the antenna caught in its branches. But essentially what a male dung beetle does is he rolls a ball of dung, and he finds himself a lady friend who looks at this ball of dung and thinks, oh, I'd quite like to lay my eggs in there, because that will provide some good food for my offspring. She will go and sit on the dung ball, they'll go off, they will mate, and they will bury the dung ball with their eggs inside of it. So when their babies hatch, they have a ready-made source of food. Now, right now, this dung beetle he still hasn't quite fully formed the perfect sphere just yet. He's actually still in that process, and I don't blame him. He was well and truly interrupted by the 4 challengers. And you are looking at the champion of them all. He managed to fight off 4 errant male dung beetles intent upon stealing his property, and 1. Oh, hold on. Are you coming for me now? Are you coming for me? Uh-oh. It's okay. It's alright. Now, Natasha, in London, you want to know if a dung beetle, as he goes about cleaning himself, might go back. You want to know if a dung beetle has a certain lifespan. Natasha, as far as I know, most of them are they only live for about a year. Do you know of any that live longer than a year? I think they only live for... Oh, they're back! Fight! Get off! Go away! And he wins once again, which is impressive because the challenger was a lot larger than him. Natasha, as far as I know, all of the dung beetle live for only a year. Once they've laid their eggs, their life cycle is complete, and they will die. Like a great deal of insects out here, a great number of different insects out here, they generally have relatively short lifespans. You get exceptions in the case of things like arthropods, like scorpions and spiders, and certain beetles. But the dung beetles are not among them. Right, now what? Have you finished packing it? He's now focusing on the opposite side. He's rolled in. Chandra, do you want to come here for a second? He's rolled another dung beetle into. Oh, you can't. The branches. He's rolled another dung beetle into the ball of dung. A little dung beetle. Sorry, Chandra. No, I don't know if you're going to be able to. Let me try. And it keeps trying to get out, and he keeps packing it. Oh, it got out. Oh, it was just another beetle. He keeps packing them back in. Every time they try and get out, there's a whole load of little bugs in here. Little beetles, not bugs, sorry. Little beetles. And he keeps trying, every time they try and get out, he packs them back in again, and he shoves the dung back on top of their heads. Now he's got his work cut out for him. This is quite the slope that he's got to push up against. Which way is he going to go? If he were to take any advice from me, I would tell him to go that way, and maybe not try and get up the slope. But they're amazingly strong, incredibly strong, and they have a unique way of pushing their dung ball. They stand on their head and push with their front feet backwards, and then every now and again they pop up onto the dung ball and they look around where they are, and then they go back down head first and off they roll. You can see he's furiously packing with his feet. We've seen the females do this a few times. Oh, but the challengers hasn't. Only one challenger is left. And I don't know if that's just because he hasn't bothered to fly away yet, or if he's planning another ambush. Oh! See, he did go for the massive slope. Yes, that's a better way. Oh, back towards the challenger. No, he's intent on going this direction. Uh-oh. See how incredible this is? That is such an incline. It's a really steep incline. Better move out of his way. Oh, Mr. Dung Beetle, there is a hole, a very large hole, that oh no, what happened there? He got launched off the, oh dear, launched off the dung beetle by a springy stick in a dung ball. There he goes. Bravo, I think. I don't know, he's just disappeared down the slope. Yes, absolutely, James. In Ohio, you say that you've noticed that they have a shovel-type face and front. Where's he gone? I'm going to try to find him. Yes, absolutely, it's to help them shovel dung. They are perfectly designed for what it is they do. They, of course, form a very important part of this ecosystem. They're nature's rubbish collectors. Quite literally. And my dad always used to joke that they were his favorite animals. Maybe it wasn't a joke, maybe it was serious. He always used to say they were his favorite. So as our dung beetle may be a genius, or it may be the silliest dung beetle in the world. That looked like it was a really simple way to go. Okay, while our dung beetle goes about his business, let's go back over to Brent.
Lower. A little bit lower. Sorry, guys. We're just trying to get a really bird we don't see very often. He's there. It's called a yellow-bellied aeromomola. Oh, there he is. Flip out. There it is. Stay in the open for a little bit. Good little aeromomola. Now, that could be a really good bird for a lot of your lists. I don't think it's one a lot of you have. It is called a yellow-bellied aeromomola. Oh, off it goes. Now, I know the light wasn't too bad, so I do have a picture of him ready. We've been trying to get that guy on camera for an age. I don't know if it could be. Let me know. Is this the first yellow-bellied aeromomola we've ever had on camera? If it is, please let me know. Hashtag Safari Live or questions@WildEarthTV. But that is a really good tick. Now, we hear them often. Save onto the list. That's number 49 for the Rusty list. And I'm hoping number 50 is in this little scrap of bush here. It's one of our more common ones we haven't seen. I'm just trying to see. They disappeared, if they flew off while we were hunting aeromomolas. They might have escaped the little wax spills. Looks like they have. But I really think the yellow-bellied aeromomola could be a really good bird for a lot of your lists. There in the marula. There we go. A common scimitar, another one we do see quite regularly, but one we haven't popped on camera today for Big Birding Day. That's a nice one, the common scimitar. So like the wood hoopoes, that, well, it's got even more of a scimitar-shaped beak. Oh, there we go. Oh, well spotted, Vim. Ah, a crombeck. Oh, Vim's on fire today. See, this is what happens when we find a party in the mature woodland. As I said, you quite often get a lot more species in these bird parties, even though you have to travel sometimes quite far between the two. And that is a little long-billed crombeck hopping around there. That is number 50. Yes, Vim. 50 and 2 drives. Oh, yeah, high-fiving, pumping. I wasn't sure what to do. I'm just so thrilled. Now, as I said, I think we're going to get to 50 quite easily, just on Rusty. So we obviously are over with Jamie and Byron included. Now, can we get to 60? Well, we'll just keep going as much as we can. Vim's been on fire with the camera because the birds, and especially those little ones like Eramomalas, isn't that what everyone say? Everyone at home go 1, 2, 3, Eramomala, Eramomala. And we haven't even seen one woodpecker today. Thought I saw one flash across as I said that. Now, of course, Birding Big Day is quite a big deal all over the world. I think it's on different days depending on where you are in the world. And in South Africa, it's generally at the beginning of the rainy season when a lot of the migrants come. And you can enter teams and win prizes, and all money raised goes towards bird conservation in Southern Africa. It's run by BirdLife South Africa. So, great little cause, Birding Big Day. So apparently the Eramomalar was a new one for lots of people. It makes me very happy. It's definitely the first time I've put one on camera. Vim, have you ever put an Eramomalar on camera? And Vim hasn't. So, well, maybe it's a first for everyone. That would be wonderful, because I'm pretty sure the Sterling's barred wren warbler this morning was definitely a first on camera. So, Birding Big Day, 2 firsts on camera. I think that's going pretty well. Who knows, maybe we can get a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th. Okay, maybe I'm being a little bit over optimistic, but I am an optimist. I was going to say I'm an opportunist at heart. No, I'm not an opportunist, I'm an optimistic at heart. So let's carry on. And to make Vim happy, hopefully while we bird, we might find Queen Karula. Temperature has ducked down a few degrees. Oh, that was close. Incoming dung beetle. Hi, Joan. Now, Joan has posed something very strange. She says she's never seen a bulbul on drive, but never been to an African country without them. Well, Joan, we do have bulbuls. I'm surprised. Well, I will have to go look for one now, Joan. That's one that completely slipped my mind today. But we do get bulbuls and green bulls and brown bulls, strangely enough. Okay, there's a great go-away bird alarm calling. Now, for me, that sounds like it's a terrestrial predator, not a avian predator. Now, this is an area the Karula does like to move through. So I'm going to do a loop around this block and see if we can find something. And just keep a careful look. Because birds sit high, they can often alarm call from quite a distance. Hi, Aaron. Aaron is wondering, do we get the African black duck in the Sabi Sands? We do indeed, Aaron, but only on the rivers, really, not so much up here. Now, if we get enough rain, we might get some teals, red-billed teals passing through on the water holes, but the black duck prefers rivers and flowing rivers. Okay, so we just want to... Ooh, what was that? That looked very interesting. Slowly, slowly. Don't fly any... Oh, darn it. It flew away, whatever it was. I didn't get a chance to see it. I just saw a flash of red. Could have been a paradise flycatcher. Oh, who knows? Is our birding adventure going to lead us to the Queen of Djuma? Only time will tell. So I'm just trying to see if I can see where those go-away birds were perched, but they were alarm calling down in the drainage there. Well, Safari Dean says, with all the birds back, do we even need an alarm clock in the mornings? Well, believe it or not, Safari Dean, we beat the birds. We're up before them. At the moment, we're up, up at about quarter to 4 in the morning. So we beat the birds. They only start calling after we've been up for about half an hour or so. The joys of living in the African bush. I wouldn't want it any other way. But we're going to keep on our search for possibly a leopard, possibly some more bird species. While we do that, let's go see how the incredible Nkuhumas are doing with Byron.
So they're starting to wake up a little bit more, Brent. More heads up, more cleaning and grooming. So all of this is good signs for us. Even the male is sitting with his head up now. And I say a good sign because it would just be wonderful to have them get up and move around a bit. Hopefully not further into the thicket, because then I don't think we'll be able to follow them. But we're not far from Buffelshoek Dam, so maybe they decide they'd like a drink of water and they head down there. That would make a wonderful, wonderful shot. So I'm hoping. That's my hope. I wouldn't say prediction, because I don't want to predict something like that, because if it doesn't happen, then you'll all be really upset with me. So I'm hoping that's what they do. Oh, watch a yawn. Good. Now, when they're yawning, they're doing that to try and fill their bodies with more oxygen, and it is a sign that they may be waking up, looking to move around a little bit. Occasionally, lions will yawn and stretch, and then just get up and change their positions and lie somewhere else, or they decide, okay, it's time to get up and start moving. So, who knows? But we are going to be patient, and that's one of the things that I think is probably the most important while being in the bush and on safari is having patience, sitting and enjoying animals and viewing them, because things happen when you least expect it. And if you just drive in and we call it just ticking off the animals, so if you just drive in, view them, tick them off that you've seen them and move on, you often miss the real behavior and interaction. So it's important to try and sit and be patient, and things will happen for you. That's how I feel. I feel very strongly about that. Sorry, I didn't hear the name properly, but I think it's Channis. You wanted to know if two male lions will... Tannis, I apologize. So Tannis, you wanted to know if two male lions would mate with a single lioness from the same pride. Yes, definitely. What would happen is... the one male, and most likely the slightly more dominant one, he will get to mate first with the lioness. And I say the more dominant one, even within a coalition there is a hierarchy, one that would be more dominant than the others. He'd most likely get to mate first with the lioness, and once he's finished and moved on, the lioness may then mate with one of the other males. And again, the reason for that is possibly ensure that she does fall pregnant, and the other reason is that then she ensures the cub's safety, that all the males think those cubs belong to them, and they will then protect them. Excuse me a second. Stephen, affirmative. I'm still here. They just in the block directly west of Buffelshoek Dam. Best approach. You'll see the vehicle tracks just on the southwestern corner of the dam wall, and you might even get my visual from there. Copy that. So just getting some other guests in to see the lions, and that's a wonderful thing with us being on radio, and other people who are out on safari here, they get to see these animals live and spend time with them. So it's nice that we help each other find the animals, and the people on safari do get to enjoy them. See a lot of grooming going on, a lot of cleaning, scratching. Glynis, that is a very keen ear you have. You could hear a woodpecker knocking while I was speaking, and you're 100% correct. It is a woodpecker, and I'll show you which one it is. I can't see it, it's a little bit far away, but it is a bearded woodpecker. And the reason I know that is because that knocking sound that it's doing, it's actually a territorial call. So it knocks on a dry piece of wood, and that is its territorial call to let other birds know this is its territory and that they should stay out of it. So let me show you what it looks like. Well, let me first show you. That's what it looks like in the box. And you've got that beautiful, those black markings on the side of the cheek and under the throat, and that red nape, you could call it, or the top of the head. And then this is what the bird looks like. So that's the bearded woodpecker, and that's the little woodpecker making all that noise that you could hear knocking, Glynis. That's nice. I'm glad you... Unfortunately, we couldn't see it. It was a little bit far. Okay, we're going to sit with these lions a little bit longer. I'm going to be patient. I don't want to move anywhere. But let's head back to Jamie on the bushwalk and see what she's got.
And just have a look at the incredible, well, first of all, the interesting exoskeleton of the spider, and then the incredible beauty of this particular tree, which is a tree that we don't often stop at, but it's known as a caterpillar pod bush, or a caterpillar bush. And it's one of those tricky ones to find information on. The reason that it's called a caterpillar bush is because it has seeds that look like caterpillars, believe it or not, and I'll show you when they do actually start to fruit. But for now, it's got these incredibly beautiful purple flowers. I think they're absolutely... I don't think I've ever seen a flowering caterpillar bush, so I'm actually quite excited. This is the first for me. And I think, if I remember correctly, the Latin name is Omocarpum trichocarpum, or something along those lines. There you go. It was one of the first ever trees I learned, because it amused me tremendously that the fact that they had seeds, and they basically look like dangling hairy caterpillars. They're about this long, and they're fluffy, and they dangle from the tree, and they look like hairy caterpillars. Isn't this beautiful, though? An absolutely lovely tree. That's basically all I have to tell you about it, really. It's a pretty tree. Black rhino love them, but not that we're going to see. This is definitely not an area for black rhinoceros, but black rhino love them. They often munch them. I actually did, for a couple of weeks in an undisclosed place in an undisclosed time, I followed black rhino around for weeks on end, watching what they were feeding on. And at times it was a little bit scary, because we were on foot, because they weren't comfortable with vehicles at all. So we were sort of creeping around, watching what they were eating, and then going around and recording exactly what it was they were feeding on. But it's very easy, just getting distracted now, but it's very easy to see where a black rhino has been feeding, because they have a very specific way of biting off branches. They bite it off at an exact 45-degree angle. and it's very clear. You can go up to raisin bushes, you can go up to anything that they happen to, red thorn acacias they really like, and you look at the way that they've been eating, and it's a perfect 45-degree angle. And when you dig through their dung, which by the way is my favorite smell in the bush, if you dig through their dung, you find these short pieces of wood or stick that have perfect angles on either end of them, and they're usually about that long. It's very easily identifiable. Now I want to show you something. I want to show you the hazards of living in the bush, and I'm going to try and work out how I'm going to do this. Genre knows all about them. We all know all about them. You'll have to excuse my incredible socks, but look here. Look at what's... Do you want me to get higher there, Genre? It's a bit of a tricky one. Look at what is on my trousers. And now, to give you a sense of scale as to what is on my trousers, you'll notice that they're moving. Let me put my finger next to them. Now, those are crawling all over us, and they are known as pepper ticks. Pepper ticks are the larval stage of ticks, and they love to go for the sock line, the trouser line, and the underwear line, or the top part of your belt, or any other soft, warm place that they can find. And I promise you, when they bite you, it is the most itchy thing in the world. Now, imagine trying to find, it's just the one that will escape me when I get back and go and sweep off my pants, or sweep off my trousers. It'll be the one that bites me. Now, imagine being as freckly as we get, being out here in the sun all day, especially me with sort of Scottish-Irish heritage. Imagine trying to find a pepper tick in amongst those freckles. And what it does is it crawls all over the place and it bites, and it's incredibly itchy. I'm going to go and have a quick sweep off over there in the corner. While I do that, let's see what else is out there.
The hunt for the birds continue. VM has got, there we go, a beautiful little yellow-fronted canary, number 51. Wonderful little seed eaters. Oh, we've been stalking them for a while. They're proving quite difficult. Oh, there comes one flying in. Oh, but they're hiding in all the thickets here. There we go. Great camera work, VM. There's a little canary in there somewhere. There he is. Oh. I'm going to try go back a little bit, but they are quite quick. Oh, and there's a wax bull. Did you see the wax bull? There we go. Well done, VM. Oh no, that didn't count. Where did he go? Oh, he's still there. He's just... You got him there? He's behind the stump. Naughty wax bull. Where did you go? Because that definitely didn't count. There he is, on the ground, behind the stump. There we go, the little powder blue wax bulls. Another one of the beautiful little seed eaters. They are so pretty. Now, theoretically we get a few other wax bull species here, but I've never seen them. I've only ever seen the blue wax bull in the northern Sabi sands. Oh, off he goes. Now, the real treat to see would be the violet-eared wax bull, and I've actually seen them a couple of times in the southern Sabi sand, but wouldn't it be a treat to see one of these here? I think if we're going to see them, it's going to be on Cheetah Plains. The violet-eared wax bull. Isn't that beautiful? But I haven't ever seen one in the north. We're going to continue. We're building nicely, steadily now. We're still missing orange-breasted bush shrike, grey-headed bush shrike, Natal Franklin, Shelley's Franklin, brown-hooded kingfisher, striped kingfisher. So we still are missing a few of the more black-headed oriole, and of course the European golden oriole, which I've seen around, but we haven't managed to get on camera yet. So there's still quite a few other birds we can collect and to add to our birding big day list. Now, is that wonderfully funny movie? I quite enjoyed it, but I am a bird watcher. I'm not sure if non-bird watchers enjoyed it. I think it was called A Big Year, with Jack Black and Owen Wilson, about birding. And I do take my birding quite seriously, but definitely not that seriously.